news report. Faces one here. It's a lot going on, 2025. Talking about these plane crashes. It has been exactly 64 plane crashes. If haven't been any other plane crash today, 64 plane crashes. That's a lot of casualties. That's a lot of people that lost their lives. Over what? 2025 confirms me not to get on the airplane, and I've never been on the airplane, and I would never get on the airplane just because of the situation that's going on right now. Yep. And then there's so many excuses and lies that are being told to the media and told to the people about what is going on right now. I seen a video, but I don't know if I got it, about crisis actors. Crisis actors. Said they needed crisis actors for events that's going on. They were going to be shooting blank guns and need to know how to crowd, spot, all type of stuff. What is actually going on in 2025 where they are actually playing a movie in front of us, or is this stuff going on really real? Did people lose their lives? People lost their lives. People most definitely lost their lives, because some of those planes, I don't know. But I seen the video talking about they need crisis actors and all that. That is some diabolical stuff. Y'all are killing innocent people for what? What is the reason behind this? I guess we'll never know though. Then a couple more other videos talking about bunker and aliens. And then we go into the Trump and Elon Musk thing. Really, it's Elon Musk what everybody talking about, but everybody want Trump putting Elon Musk off in a position where he's able to do the stuff that he's able to do. And those things exactly to be seeing people data, seeing where their money go, where their money come from, Social Security, and he has no credentials to be doing this. But Trump is allowing him. I don't know. I'm not in politics, I don't know, but I wouldn't want nobody that's not qualified to look at records like that. But in the process of him looking at records like that, he found out that it was a lot of money that was being given out to a lot of politicians that came out of the taxpayers, our pockets. Did you ever have this feeling in the past that you was getting messed over in life? This is the reason. Taxes are so high, they taking out so much money out of your check. This is the reason. When are we going to come together as people and stand up against this system that we got? Trump is already trying to dismantle. When are we going to try to get up and help? When are we going to help? Not try. When are we going to help? Fuck all the waiting around. Motherfuckers need to come together. I've been trying to say it nicely, but people really need to come together, man. What the fuck did y'all don't understand about the shit that's going on? Y'all wanted change 20 years ago. When Obama came off in office, he lied to us and said he was gonna give us change. And then we had to go through his bullshit for 2 fucking terms. Then what? More bullshit behind that. And then Biden 4 years of bullshit. Trump was at least trying to motherfucking tell the truth the first term that he was in. Now he's signing executive orders and moving shit. And people got a problem. But y'all want to change. Y'all won't change it. Whenever the change happens, people start complaining. Why the fuck are y'all complaining about something that y'all fucking want? Sorry for cussing. That was my cuss rant right there, but I'm done doing that. Anyways, it's a lot going on. Trump is making changes and people are not trying to be in tune in what's going on. You're blind to it. If you're blind to it, that means you need to do some research. It's not that hard to do research out here, man. Most of this stuff is given to us on the internet. Just Google search it. You can Google search most of the things that's going on right now, and that will give you a reason. If it's not the reason, it's a lie, you can still find out something, because it's a trail behind it. It's always a paper trail. See, that's where the politicians messed up at. They're old in age and living the way they've been living and not knowing that there's a paper trail on everything you do. Cell phones. Now when you even go to the store and buy something, there's a paper trail. Like when I say paper trail, I mean like you trace back everything, every item you bought, especially if you use a card. But yeah, what's going on? It's a lot to talk about. I don't have enough time to talk about it, but I'm gonna leave y'all with this. Trump is doing exactly what y'all wanted, but people can't accept it. That's crazy. Y'all wanted this, but you can't accept it. Anyways, I'm done talking. I'm done ranting. It's your boy Faceless One. Like and subscribe. Put a lot of effort into the video. The talking part, not the talking part, I didn't put effort into that. I mean, I didn't, but I had another video, and those words got swiped for some reason. So hopefully this will come together. Y'all like, subscribe, and have a nice day.
There has been now 64 confirmed commercial flights around the world that has crashed this year. We just got to February. To put in perspective, last year worldwide, there was only 36 commercial plane crashes. 36. We're almost double that, and we haven't made it past February. What the hell is going on? Because at this point, a car ride from Florida to California is not looking that bad. At one point in time, taking a flight was considered the safest form of travel. But out of the 7 flights that had crashed on US soil this year, 0 passengers have survived. All perished. God rest their souls. Personally, I've been in several car crashes. And I can tell you, I've walked out of every single one. With bumps and bruises, but I've walked out. If you're in a plane and it happens to crash, you will be lucky to have first responders even find your body.
64. There have been 64 airplane crashes in the first few weeks of 2025. Last year, just for some reference, 36 total plane crashes. In 2020, there was just 8. What in the hell is going on here? And we're not talking about just 1 or 2 accidents. We're talking about 6 planes crashing within 48 hours. And we're not talking about just in one part of the world. We're talking that this is happening all over the world. The one in Washington, 67 people gone. Juju Airlines, 300 lives lost. Now, the Philadelphia crash, we're still counting. Planes are statistically the safest way of travel. They're thousands of times safer than traveling by car. So what is going on that all of a sudden they're dropping out of the sky? Is this really a coincidence, or is there something bigger happening here? Now I want you to think that recently there has been a massive shift. Okay, people are waking up, and you can tell it really with celebrities. Celebrities nowadays are embracing authenticity like never before. Look at Sabrina Carpenter. Look at Zendaya. Even corporate influencers are suddenly real and raw. Now let's get a little bit esoterical. Authenticity is the highest vibration there is. The moment people raise their frequency, fear-based events start flooding the news. And I don't want to get super deep into the conspiracies. I don't want to be the conspiracy guy. Like, my heart goes out to every single person that has lost somebody in these plane crashes. Right now, they need you in fear because low vibrations make you easier to control. But here's the truth. They cannot force you to go into low vibrations. Your focus creates your reality. When you let fear consume you, you attract more of it. When you focus on gratitude, growth, and love, your reality shifts completely. Now, I've been journaling every day for the past 6 years, I believe, and this is exactly why I do it, because no matter what chaos unfolds in the world, I control my frequency, I control my reality, I put my thoughts to the page, and I focus on the energy that I am creating. Have you ever seen those people that no matter what is going on or what life throws their way, it's like nothing phases them? That is because they have a clear picture of where they're going and nothing can sway them off that path. That's what journaling does for you. If you haven't picked this journal up already, I highly recommend it. It is called a 222 journal, and it is built exactly for this, because no matter what chaos unfolds, you can capture your thoughts and create your future. This book was written by a guy worth $50 million. And he wrote this book to rewire your brain for abundance, for clarity, for manifesting the life that you want. And it takes about 5 minutes a day, 2 times a day. Now, they just launched this book on the TikTok shop, and it is 40% off. They're running a flash sale right now. So if you want to take control of your thoughts, and you want to create your dream life, this is a golden opportunity. Don't let fear take a hold. Grab yours before they silence this knowledge.
Lantaw ko na lang kay at least 4. Oo, pero ginahulat pa man ang soko. Oo, gani. Pabili. Lahat walang babae. Habang buhok mo, walang
So we have a really big update in regard to the Washington, D.C. plane crash. Apparently a very crucial safety system had been turned off. The helicopter was equipped with an ADS-B system. An ADS-B is Automatic Dependent Surveillance Broadcasting System. Now, what that is a system that is more accurate than transponders or radar. It's preferred system of use for air traffic controllers. It shows ground speed. It shows altitude. It also shows where other planes are, either on the runway or around them, other aircraft in general. And according to Ted Cruz, because there's no national security thing going on, he said there was no reason for this system to have been turned off. Now, you couple that with the fact that they were flying about 200 feet above max altitude, and the fact that they were apparently wearing night vision goggles, which limits your field of vision. It's just a lot of things went wrong for this horrific event to occur. The other thing that I want to let you guys know is that while I cannot speak for the passengers on that plane, I can tell you that the pilots knew what was happening, because apparently they've been able to determine that the pilots made a last-minute maneuver trying to pull the nose of the plane up to get out of the way, but there was just no way they could avoid it. Anyways, this entire thing is just a horrific, tragic event, and this is just one more piece of that puzzle. There's no reason that that system should have been turned off. Now, as always, drop your thoughts in the comments about what you think about this. Hit that follow button, and yeah, let me know.
I do want to mention we are still looking for the cockpit voice recorder. We have located the 2 engines, but for the cockpit voice recorder, we're still looking for it. It could be intact, but likely it is damaged. It may be fragmented.
This is a bit of a mystery. A small Bearing Air flight carrying 10 people on board went missing during a flight between 2 small towns over the western coast of Alaska. The plane departed at around 2:40 p.m. local time, but then lost contact with air traffic control about 40 minutes later, just 10 minutes before its scheduled arrival, and about 12 miles offshore. Now, the weather conditions in the area consisted of poor visibility. There was light snow and cold temperatures. Before the plane disappeared, the pilot told air traffic control that he intended to enter a holding pattern while waiting for the runway to be cleared. That's according to the Nome Fire Department. Now, search crews have been searching overnight, but so far they have not had any luck finding the aircraft.
I don't know how much time I have, and I'm not too sure how long TikTok is going to allow this video to stay up. The only thing I ask is that you engage with the video so that more people can see it. Years back, I was contracted as an engineer by the U.S. government to build an underground facility out in the southwest part of the United States. I'm no stranger when it comes to working on underground facilities. I've worked on quite a few. However, this was the first time that I've worked with the government. I arrived on site. It was heavily guarded by U.S. personnel. I was also informed that there were snipers in the area. I met with who I needed to meet with, confirmed that I am who I say I am. I was told that I couldn't give my real name. I couldn't discuss anything personal about my life. I had to sign a book's worth of non-disclosures, and we were told that we couldn't talk, and the only time we could talk was about the project and the project only. The project was to build a 7-story facility for researchers and scientists. So first we would have to dig 7.5 miles into the ground, and then from there we would create our 7-story facility. So the project began. Within a mile of digging into the earth, we started to see tunnels, we started to see structures, we started to see what looked like a little city, and then we saw them. They are tall, they are gray, they have these big black eyes, and they were not happy that we dug into their facility. Shocked is an understatement, because I did not know they actually exist. I thought they only exist in movies, and I thought they were just a figment of people's imaginations. Who wasn't shocked was the U.S. military that was on site, as well as the site manager. I very vividly remember the site manager being irritated, like, oh brother, like what are they doing here? The site manager would go on to say, don't worry about it, we're just going to stop the project for about 2 weeks. I'm going to get in touch with the project manager, he'll talk to the higher ups, and before you know it, we'll be back in no time. And he was right, because within 2 weeks, actually less than 2 weeks, we were back on site. But this time we had new rules, and those rules were We were going to be able to still continue our project, but we could not talk to these beings. We couldn't interact with them. We couldn't engage with them. They want nothing to do with us. So we're going to stay on our side and they're going to stay on their side. And so the project continued. When I tell you these beings didn't pay us any type of attention, I mean it. They are very stern. They are extremely focused, and whatever they were doing had all of their attention. Now, I can't begin to tell you what they were working on, not because I signed a bunch of non-disclosures, but because I've never seen anything like that. I don't have the words to describe what I saw. After a while, researchers and scientists started to come and occupy the facility. More rules, and those rules were we couldn't engage with the scientists or the researchers. We couldn't ask what they were working on. We couldn't ask their name. We couldn't have small talk. We were still to just continue our job. They were going to do their job, and then those beings were going to stay on their side and do whatever it is that they were doing. So now a problem comes about. Now we have the researchers and the scientists slowly expanding to the side of those beings. Remember the rule. Everyone that is human is going to stay on one side, and everyone that is non-human is going to stay on their side. Higher ups, officials, whoever's in charge, they're not enforcing that rule for the scientists and the researchers. They are allowing them to slowly expand to the side of those beings. Then a rumor starts to go about in the facility, and that rumor is that the U.S. government doesn't want to share the facility. They're trying to make these beings so uncomfortable that they just leave, and then we can take over the entire facility 100%. And trust me, that was very audacious of the U.S. government to test the patience of 8 feet tall beings working on technology that none of us have ever seen. And then one day, unfortunately, it happens. The sirens start to sound for us to evacuate the facility. People are screaming, people are running, people are panicking, people are falling all over each other. These beings are extremely intelligent, and they figured out that the government is trying to push them out of a facility that they were already occupying, and they're not having it. You have these beings pew-pewing people to the point that they burst into millions of particles. People are literally evaporating. Yeah, you have the military firing back, but their weapons are no match for the weapons that these beings have. My heart is beating so hard that it feels like it's going to burst out of my chest. I run to the elevator where I black out, said Phil Snyder, who this story actually comes from. Phil was an engineer who claimed to have worked on the Dulce underground base in New Mexico, where a full-on war broke out between the Tall Grays and the U.S. government due to conflict over who will be able to occupy that base. If stories like this interest you, be sure to give me a follow because I enjoy having these type of discussions too.
Oh, so I should also mention that after the debate, Hunter basically commandeered the White House. He sat in on all the White House top-level meetings. You had a former cocaine addict sitting in on the most sensitive meetings of the most consequential and important government in world history. Does that sit right with you?
No.
Without security clearance, mind you. No security clearance. That's who was basically running the show. So Hunter basically battened down the hatches after the debate to make sure that his father would only receive intel that he pre-approved. And so Anita Dunn got exiled around this time, along with her husband. Her husband was playing Trump in the debate prep. Ron Klain was disgraced after the debate blew up. And then Jeff Zients, the person who's worth like hundreds of millions of dollars, the chief of staff, I should mention that the weekend that Biden made the decision to drop out, he only told 2 people in that circle, and that's that's Steve Ricchetti and Mike. He didn't tell Anita because I was on a call with Anita that morning and she had no idea it was going to happen. It completely caught her off guard. So by that time, they were already easing her out of the circle.
Is there any, did we cover all the names?
Did we? Jill Biden?
Jill Biden.
She was like president. She was president. I was with Joe and Jill the night of the debate. I was at their VIP debate watch party. I slept all the way to Atlanta, Georgia for that to show my support. Oh my gosh, Sean, you wouldn't believe it. So that night I have the pictures too. I was with Joe, and so Jill takes Joe by the hand. The names are so similar. I'm sorry. Jill takes Joe by the hand on stage and she's like, Joe, you knew all the facts. You answered all the questions. And you know that hand gesture that she does. And I'm thinking, you're treating him like a first grader. You know, like just because he, you know, like you shouldn't applaud him for doing the basics. And And you could just tell that she was fighting for dear life to hold on to the vestige of power. And just a few days later, she was on the cover of Vogue. So the whole thing was a Jill Biden show. She was not as authentic as Joe, I want to say. I think as Joe got older, maybe you think I'm naive in saying this, but I'm not even sure if he remembers all of the corruption that he engaged in.
But doesn't surprise me.
You mean to tell me a man worth over $400 billion is going to decide what happens with my grandma's Social Security check?
No one elected Elon Musk to nothing. And yet, Elon Musk is seizing the power that belongs to the American people. We are here to fight back.
When we open up the Senate every single morning, we don't pledge allegiance to the billionaires. We don't pledge allegiance to Elon Musk. We don't pledge allegiance to the creepy 22-year-olds working for Elon Musk. We pledge allegiance to the United States of America. And so I want to make sure that my mother gets her Social Security check, not because she pledges allegiance to Elon, but because she pledges allegiance to the United States of America.
This is the most corrupt bargain we've ever seen in American history. Elon Musk gives $250 million to elect Donald Trump, and Donald Trump turns over the keys to the United States government to Elon Musk and his billionaire friends and his cronies. Are we going to let that stand? Hell no, we're not going to let that stand.
We know who we work for. We know that we work for the American people. And what we're not going to do is stand around while they pull this bullshit that they're trying to pull right now. We are going to be in your face. We are going to be on your ass. And we are going to make sure, you understand what democracy looks like. And this ain't it.
Are you guys watching this? We have a private takeover of the federal government that is being labeled reform. It is clearly in violation of a number of federal laws, at the very least of which is records retention, that a lot of websites that are being unilaterally taken down, public data sets at the CDC that were unavailable for, like a CDC employee had to go out of bounds and upload those to a drive online just so there would be access to them. We have people who haven't gone through security clearances who are using Gmail addresses to join top-level OPM meetings. This is an effing circus. And I guess, sorry, that's all the time that the guest has. That's all the time we have this morning for Trump Morning News. As always, we remind you, your state legislators, you can't do anything directly about this, and there's nothing the Republican Party could have done in the last 20 years. Oh, and by the way, Musk did a salute on stage. Mr. President, I yield the well.
Donald Trump and Elon Musk just found out that 3 big-time celebrities made millions and millions of dollars off of you just to take photos with Volodymyr Zelensky at the outset of the Ukrainian war. Want to know who they are? Here's the first one. Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller got $4 million to fly to Ukraine and take photos with Volodymyr Zelensky when the Ukrainian war began. You probably thought Ben Stiller went to Ukraine out of solidarity and brotherhood and, the goodness of his own heart. He did it to get that bag. What even are these two talking about here? What kind of information could Volodymyr Zelensky, who's actively engaged in a war with Vladimir Putin, be seeking from Gaylord Fokker? Are you a butthead fucker? Number 2, Sean Penn. He got $5 million to meet with Volodymyr Zelensky. And you may be asking yourself, why did Sean Penn get $5 million when Ben Stiller only got $4 million? Well, because Sean Penn has won an Oscar and he brought it with him, because that's going to help the war effort. And number 3, Angelina Jolie, who got, wait for it, $20 million. That's like Beyonce not performing at the Kamala Harris rally kind of money. That's $30 million of your tax money to fly celebrities to Ukraine to take photos with Volodymyr Zelensky, which, let's be honest, they could have just created on AI for free. Elon Musk knows a little something about it.
So today, Leader Jeffries and I are joining together to push legislation to prevent unlawful meddling in the Treasury Department's payment systems and protect Americans across the country. Our bill aims to do a few simple things. 1, to deny access to special government employees, employees that don't have to disclose their conflicts of interest or any other ethic agreements. 2, to deny access to anyone with conflicts of interest or lack of appropriate clearance. And 3, include personal tax information into existing privacy protections. We call our legislation Stop the Steal. Whatever Doge is doing, it's not democracy. We know what democracy's like. It's out in the open. It's not secret. You do two sides debate, and then the elected officials make decisions. Democracy doesn't work in the shadows. Democracy doesn't skirt the rule of law. And it doesn't give special privilege to the ideas and needs of a group of ultra-wealthy people at the expense of American families.
And there is more breaking news. The Treasury Department got audited, and they found fraud. So many people are angry that Elon Musk is now auditing all of our tax dollars. But I have a funny feeling that the people that are really angry about it are the guilty ones. Again, I work really hard for my money. And how many of you don't think that your tax dollars have been put to good use? I mean, I get pretty pissed off if I run over a pothole. Doesn't it make you wonder why we are taxed to death? Because it's money laundering. They've been using the American people to fund all this weird shit. And at the end of the day, we're the ones that are suffering. You like living paycheck to paycheck? I've said it before, Republican, Democrat, I literally don't care. It's kind of turned into a reality TV show. But in less than a month of a new administration, we're really finding out what they're doing with all of our money. And I'm gonna tell you what, I'm here for it. Keep digging, Elon. Catch it all. Call everybody out. And whether or not you like Trump or don't, he sure seems to be getting some shit done.
If you thought white American racism was bad, then I'm going to need you to strap the fuck in, because shit is about to get real. So basically, if you don't understand what's going on, the South African president I think if it's either they signed a bill or they're trying to sign a bill that would require all landowners to show proof of ownership, meaning it's a way for whites to prove that they legally got the land and not stole it from a black family. And obviously, by putting that law into place, it's causing problems because a lot of white farm owners in South Africa stole the land. So guess who's mad about it? And guess who's the highest donor to Donald Trump? So naturally, him and his boy got together. Sorry, cat hair somewhere. Him and his boy got together and yeah, as you can see, so now they're planning on bringing white South Africans to America as refugees. Now here's where shit is about to get real. Remember a few years ago, during Trump's last tenure, white South Africans were leaving South Africa. They were going to Australia, they were going to New Zealand and all those places. Well, do you know how bad it is that white New Zealanders, Kiwis, and white Aussies had to say, yo, stop this shit. We can't do this. Like, y'all are when white people have to tell another bunch of white people that, listen, y'all are too fucking racist and you need to stay in your house. We can't do, like, listen to this, or rather read, let's watch this. It goes, this is talking about the beef between, this is 2018, talking about white South Africa and white New Zealanders. This guy's like recently tweeted, in New Zealand, there's only two types of people we will not tolerate. One, racist. Two, white South Africans. Honestly, these people are the fucking worst. When we are marching and holding peaceful protests against those fuckers, have you met one? The worst. Let's you go to Quora, and Quora is a website where you can go ask any random question and anybody will answer. So someone asked, is it true that whites in New Zealand hate white South Africans? If this is true, why? And let's just go down here. He's like, let's go. Is it based on hate is fairly, you know what, fuck it. These folks will learn again quickly that in New Zealand, once again, in general, that they are no better or worse than the next person if they want to live in New Zealand. You look what it says right above it. It says, due to new arrivals' upbringing where they believe their race. Long story short, white South Africans take the cake when it comes to racism. Like, do y'all understand do you understand why a lot of Africans don't like South Africans? Because they get to, in their home, they're literally like this in their home, and then they see other black Africans and then they turn into pit bulls, and it's like, Really? But yeah, those whites are coming to America.
We have some big news right now. 2 federal employee unions have sued the Secretary of the Treasury to prevent Elon Musk and Doge from gaining access to a sensitive Treasury Department payment system that sends more than $6 trillion in federal funds for key government programs like Social Security, Medicare, and payroll. This lawsuit was just filed by the Alliance for Retired Americans, the American Federation of Government Employees, and the Service Employees International Union, SEIU, against the Department of Treasury, Scott Bessent in his personal capacity, and the Bureau of the Fiscal Service, which is responsible for maintaining the sensitive payment system. And essentially, it alleges that people who share information with the federal government should not be forced to share information with Elon Musk or his Doge. And federal law says they do not have to. The Privacy Act of 1974 and the IR Internal Revenue Code with respect to taxpayer information makes it unlawful for Secretary Bessent to hand over access to the Bureau's records on individuals to Musk or other members of Doge. They're asking for immediate relief in DC. I'll let you know what happens, so comment below your thoughts, spread the word, and follow me on here and on my other social platforms linked in my bio for all the news you need to know about.
The lies liberals tell just never end. People were running around saying Donald Trump was going to cancel Black History Month. He was going to cancel every single DEI initiative. But yet, if he was going to cancel Black History Month, then why did he issue a proclamation labeling February 2025 as Black History Month? If he was going to cancel it, why do that? What actual sense does it make? Oh, I know. It doesn't make any damn sense because it's not what he did. It's so interesting to me that people love trying to bash President Trump and say, oh, he's a racist, he's this and that. No racist is going to make a federal proclamation that February is Black History Month. A lot of the DEI cutbacks that are happening are being done antagonistically, even with the Air Force removing the Tuskegee Airmen, then just magically happening to put it back. It's so funny to me that people will look for any excuse they can to attack President Trump. Meanwhile, this is why I say black people, y'all just want to stay on the liberal plantation. You want to stay on the liberal plantation, that is your business. Don't make it mine. The fact is, Donald Trump is not a racist, and I'm going to stand behind that. He's not a racist because no racist is going to do the things that he's done for African Americans. Donald Trump funded 2 of Jesse Jackson's both of his presidential campaign runs. He assisted Nelson Mandela in getting out of prison and loaned Nelson Mandela his plane, by the way, to use to make 19 trips. And it's so interesting to me that there are several black businessmen that I've had conversations with Judge Joe Brown that he can tell you himself went to Trump for a loan to get their business started. When they come back to try to pay the loan off, Trump tears the check up and says, now, you've made some of yourself, go enjoy your business. If Trump's a racist, I love his brand of racism because it's a narrative that's pushed on him, not by himself, but by leftist-leaning media that wants to do everything they can to destroy him. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of black folks in particular wanting to stay on the plantation, voting for a party that has historically not done jack shit for us as a community. Wake up and get off the damn plantation. At least our vote should be just as much for sale as white folks' votes is. There are more than 24 million of us, and there are more than 40 million black people in this country. Only 20 million of us voted. And if the Democrats can bank on false promises that they don't have to keep, they will politically pander to us over and over again, election cycle after election cycle after election cycle, giving us a common enemy, which is the big bad white man, because they know how to pull at our emotional pull strings. When you start valuing logic over emotion, then we'll change. You dig?
Did you see what has been released this morning that Elon Musk is spending $40 million on? He's spending $40 million of his own money on 5 Super Bowl ads to expose all the bullshit the government's been wasting our tax dollars on. And I'm fucking here for it. Like, I'm pumped. I can't wait. I may actually watch the Super Bowl, even though I normally don't care about it at all, but just to see these commercials. And Elon, this is exactly the reason we put Trump in office. We knew he wasn't afraid to have you in there. You're not afraid to expose all the crap that they've been wasting money on and expose all the people who are getting kickbacks from all these frivolous deals. So thank you, Elon. Thank you, President Trump. And thanks to everybody who's helping Elon. I know the left keeps giving them a hard time, but the more the left is crying, the more you're doing right. So keep it up. We're fucking loving it.
Nearly the entire mainstream media has been funded by the US government under USAID. This is not just about wasted taxpayer money. USAID was literally funding an entirely handcrafted fake reality, and not just in the United States, all over the world. We were robbed in order to fund global psychological manipulation. The headline here is the US government robbed you blind in an effort to control your mind. This is why I have always said if every government employee and every news outlet is agreeing with what you are saying, you should probably question it. But let's dive into this, shall we? Let's start with the Associated Press. These are their total contributions by party every election cycle, and it's really funny how their donations from Democrats really shot up in 2018 and 2020. But this right here is how they hide behind it all. Because when you look at this, you see that the numbers shot up again in 2020, and most of the donations were made by individuals. But if you look up what an individual could technically be classified as, it could be members, employees, or owners of the organization and those individuals' immediate family members. Not exactly regular, everyday working Americans. Let's look at the New York Times next. Again, not a lot of contributions until right in between 2018 and 2022. And again, the same numbers in the same time by the same individuals. Let's take a look at Politico, shall we? I couldn't find those same charts for this one, but look at whose campaigns they donated to. Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, John Ossoff, Bernie Sanders. The Washington Post was a little less obvious with theirs, but still the same concept. Back in 2020, a measly $3,000 went to Trump. Meanwhile, Biden got $20,000 and Pete Buttigieg got $6,000. Then you go to 2022 and you have all these Democratic names, including Chuck Schumer. And in 2024, you have Kamala Harris among many other Democrats. Now let's talk about Thomson Reuters, which is basically a parent company of a news outlet. In 2020, $5,000 went to Trump. Meanwhile, $166,000 went to Kamala Harris. In the next election cycle, they have obviously come into some money because about $30,000 went to Trump. Meanwhile, Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, John Ossoff, and the Democratic senatorial campaign, and all kinds of others got the rest. Here's another election cycle. We're back to the smaller amounts of money, but the lean is still the same. Democrats, leftists, you guys, come on. I used to be one of you guys, okay? But I need you guys to understand that they need you to think that the people who voted for Trump have been had so that you don't realize that you have been had. It is the ultimate manipulation for them to convince you that the other side has been played, and meanwhile, the entire time, they are playing you like fools. And I'm not coming down on you. I'm saying this with love because I was one of those fools. They gaslit us so hard that we all became like little mini narcissists. And yes, it is narcissistic to think that everyone should have the same viewpoint as you. I was doing it too, okay? I was operating from that moral high ground. I thought that I was better than all of my Republican family because I cared more. And looking back on it now, I just really cannot believe that more of us were not seeing through this. It has gotten so bad to the point where they don't even have to try to divide us anymore. They just literally speak on TV and you guys run out and do it for them. Did you know that it only takes 2 months of repeating something over and over before an entire population will believe it? Conveniently, Kamala Harris's campaign was about 3 months. And in that time, the news outlets and your government employees managed to convince you that 7 million Americans are racist, are Nazis, and are evil. That should scare you, how quickly they were able to accomplish that. So if you are someone who hates Trump and hates everyone who voted for him, I would ask you to just please sit with this information that I just gave you and really marinate on it. Because I personally believe that you cannot hold firmly in your beliefs if you haven't challenged them. So I urge you to just challenge that belief and think about who asked you to believe that and why they wanted you to believe it in the first place.
The FBI raided the Phoenix facility in hazmat suits as part of a multi-state investigation into the illegal trafficking. A torso with a head apparently went for $2,400, a leg about $1,100. They'd even sell knees and feet alone for under $500. And sale of human body parts. He said he found a cooler filled with male genitalia, a bucket of heads, arms, and legs, infected heads, and one of the most disturbing findings called a morbid joke in the lawsuit, a small woman's head sewn onto a large male torso like Frankenstein and hung up on the wall, with no identification tags on the bodies. Weren't treated with dignity and respect, a promise written on their own consent forms. The company also accused of selling body parts for profit after saying they'd only raid, and what he recounts
a secret shielded by cardboard and silence when the FBI raided the Biological Resource Center in East Phoenix 5 years ago. While in the fall, the company collected bodies of people who died under
The Wall Street Journal is reporting the CIA has reportedly just offered a buyout to its entire workforce. Everyone in the agency is telling employees, Like today, they can quit their jobs and receive about 8 months of pay and benefits. It's a part of Trump's push to downsize the federal government.
It's the first time I've ever said that in my life publicly. You're the first. And a million people's asked me this. 13 is when I really got that message from her, because that's when I was asked by the Pentagon, by 2 Air Force generals, to put it in writing what she told me. And I did. And this was on the request from NASA, a friend at NASA. So he come and got it and hand-delivered it to these generals. And she told me that, she said that when the star of Regulus, she called it a red star. When you look at it, it looks blue. But she said when Regulus is red on the horizon, in front of the gaze of the Sphinx, before daylight. So in other words, when it's sitting right on top of the horizon, before the sun comes up, that moment would mark a change in humanity's knowledge. And she showed me other things. War, us bombing Iran, us bombing Syria. And in them days, none of that had happened. So I put all that on this piece of paper. And now I've had so many write me back, oh my God, you see they just bombed Iran, or Iran just bombed us. You know, you were right the whole time. And I did that in 2012. And so what they did was I gave them the date of 2026, because they took that celestial event and ran it through these machines that showed that exact alignment will happen in 2026 at Easter.
What will happen?
The star will, the alignment she told me about, that the star of Regulus would be on the horizon in front of the Sphinx. At that moment, there'd be a new knowledge. Well, I had no idea if this was even possible, you know, but these astronomers run it through the machines and it comes out that star is going to come up on the horizon in Easter of 2026. And from that point forward, they started remote viewing the state. Government did. And now you hear it all over TV. 2026, that's the big date. 2027, that year, something's going to happen. Armageddon, you hear it all over. You know, you hear it on TV. If you study, like I've heard even, well, I won't say names, but
please do.
Well, you know Lou Elizondo, right? Lou's mentioned that date. A lot of people have.
Easter 2026.
Well, the year 2026. I gave him the specific time. And it was with Robert Grant that I told him about this alignment and all. And then he's like, oh my God. He's been looking for this ruby, this little ruby you have to find and place it between the paws of the Sphinx to make this event that he knows is going to happen in 2026. I said, Robert, it's not a ruby, it's the star of Regulus. And he looks like, he's like, oh my God, it's the king star. So what's going to happen, I don't know. But I think it's possible that's the return of
Christ.
Yeah. Or the lady and the whole heavenly host living with us. That's the first time I've ever said that in my life, publicly. You're the first. And a million people's asked me this. So I think it's entirely possible that, because she told me that when the suffering of man becomes too great, that they're going to stop it and they're going to snuff out the darkness. That's why the military and the government all want to know about this, because they know it's real. They know this lady has been seen 1,000,000 times. And when she comes, she's always warning of some big catastrophe. In the Native American world, they call her the White Buffalo Calf Lady.
Every Every day I'm on the move. I can't say the same about you, nigga. You snooze, you lose, nigga. That's the golden rules. We are not the same out here on the block. I'm trying to get this money, nigga.